Hey, this is Matt with Alpha Analyst, and in this video, we're going to go over conditional formatting in Microsoft Excel. Conditional formatting is a great way to be able to see some of the underlying patterns within your data. All right, let's get started. What we're going to do is highlight one of these columns that contains data. So here is a list of people with various different characteristics about themselves. So we're going to highlight this right here. This is the data that corresponds to the number of years of experience that they have. So after we highlighted that, we're going to come up to the Home tab, and in the middle of the Home tab, there's a section that says Conditional Formatting. We're going to click on the drop-down box, and we're going to come to the first option. It says Highlight Cells Rule. So there are a variety of options that we can choose from here. We can say highlight it a certain color or a certain format if it is greater than a certain number of years, if it's less than a certain number of years, if it's between a certain number of years, if it's equal to something specifically. We can say that if the data in these cells, if it specifically contains a certain type of text, to highlight it in a certain way. And you can basically choose from a variety of different options. Let's go to this option right here. Let's highlight all of the people that have greater than 10 years of experience. So we're going to click on greater than. And you'll see that by default, it puts in a number for us. So by default, it said 15 years. Let's change that to 10 years. Okay, so now, as you can see to the left here, all of the people who have at least 10 years of experience, or more specifically, greater than 10 years of experience, they have this highlighting here. So in the drop-down box, you can select from different options as far as how you want that to be highlighted. However, you do have the ability to make it much more customized. In this drop-down box, you can simply come down here to the last option, which says Custom Format, if you want it to be a different type of formatting. So now that this dialog box is here, we can say what we want it to look like if the person does have more than 10 years of experience. So let's say that we want the font type to be bold. Let's say that we want the color to be white for the font, and we want the fill to be, let's make this dark green. Okay, so now, as you can see over here on the left, if the person has greater than 10 years of experience, they're going to be highlighted in a color that basically is a fill of dark green and a color of white text. So to show how this dynamically changes, if this person instead had 8 years of experience, you can see how that automatically changed. If this person, instead of 6 years, if they had 11 years of experience, it would be highlighted. So that's a great way to be able to highlight different patterns in your data. So once you have that in there, let's say that you wanted to take that type of conditional formatting off. How would you do that? How would you get rid of it? So just go back to that section and highlight that. And on the same tab, we're going to the Home tab, and we're coming over here to where it says Conditional Formatting. We're going to come down here to where it says Clear Rules. And there are a few options here. We could either clear rules from the selected cells, and that's what we want to do. We're just going to remove that formatting just from those cells. If we instead wanted to get rid of all the formatting from all the entire sheet, we would use this. And it doesn't necessarily get rid of all of the formatting for all types of formatting. It's simply the conditional formatting that would go away. So we're going to click this right here, Clear Rules from Selected Cells. And after we did that, you can see that all of that conditional formatting has since gone away. Let's go over just one more quick example of that so we can drive home the concept. So let's highlight the salaries and bonuses. So if we come on the Home tab over to Conditional Formatting, you can see that there's an ability under the Highlight Cells rule to be able to select between. So let's say that we want to highlight people who make between $100,000 and $150,000. And we want those people to show up as green. Okay, so after we did that, you can see that those people, they have their data highlighted in green. And if we wanted to get rid of the conditional formatting, instead of doing what we did before, we could come down here to where it says Clear Rules, and we can say Clear Rules from the entire sheet, and that just gets rid of all of the conditional formatting. Not all of the formatting, because you can see that this still is formatted. It just gets rid of the conditional formatting. Let's talk about some other options that we have. So if you come down here to the years of experience, let's highlight that again. And we're going to go to the Home tab, and under Conditional Formatting, we're going to come down to the data bars. I really like the data bars. I think they're very useful, and I personally use them quite a bit. So here's what you can do with the data bars. you can select one of these options here. Let's go with the green option. So after doing that, you can quickly see which of the people have more experience or less experience. So without having to think too much about it, you can quickly look to see that this person, Timothy, only has 2 years of experience. Whereas these people, Bill and Greg, you can quickly see that they do have a lot of experience. So it's a great way to be able to get some quick insights into your data. If we come over here to the section that talks about certifications, let's talk about how to get this to really jump out. So right now, some people, they have a yes if they have the certification, and they have a no if they do not have the certification. So how can we get that to show up a little bit more clearly? So let's do this. Let's highlight all of the yeses and nos, and let's come over once again on the Home tab to the Conditional Formatting section. And let's go to Highlight Cells Rules, and let's say equal to. So if it's equal to yes, if they do have the certification, let's have it show up as green. And we're going to click OK. And then while it's still highlighted, we're going to select Conditional Formatting, Highlight Cell Rules, and if it's equal to no, then we're going to have it be a light fill. And now from this table right here, you can quickly see how many years of experience someone has. You can see the certifications that they have, and you can also see the salary and bonus that they have. If we wanted to do something similar for salary and bonus, we could come to Conditional Formatting, and over here, there are also color scales. So as you put your cursor over these different options, you can see that automatically it changes below what the formatting looks like. So for this option here, the first option, you can see that Timothy, so Timothy down here, the person who's making $74,000 a year, you can see that the value for him is red, whereas the person down here, Bill, who has a bachelor's degree and 26 years of experience, who's making $218,000, you can see that the value for his cell is green. So think of it as green is good or red is bad, and this is a quick way to be able to see which people are making more money versus less money. All right, and let's cover one more thing before we wrap up this video. In addition to what we've covered so far, there's also an option to use what's called icon sets. So let's come back over here to the years of experience. Let's highlight those years of experience. And once again, on the Home tab, we're going to click on Conditional Formatting. And then we're going to come down to this section here that says icon sets. So when you put your cursor over this, you'll see that you have different options. And as you move your cursor over these different options, you can see that over here on the left part of these cells, you can see that icons show up. So for example, if you put your cursor over where it says shapes for green, yellow, and red, you can see that people over here have green, yellow, and red shapes depending upon how many years of experience they have. The people who have more experience, they have the green circles. The ones with red experience have the ones with the smaller number of years of experience have the red circles, and the ones in between have yellows. You can come down here to, for example, where it has stars, and if you click on that, you can have stars show up so that the more that the person has greater number of years of experience, they have a fully filled in star. Whereas the ones that don't have as much experience, the star is not filled in quite as much. So that's a great way to be able to call out some additional attention to the data that you're trying to analyze. So the data pops out at the person looking at it as compared to the person having to think too deeply about what's really underlying the data. This can also be great for dashboards. So if you're trying to show something that has good trends, bad trends, neutral trends, it's a great way to be able to illustrate this inside of the cell so you can save your space on your PowerPoint presentation, for example. So instead of having to create a separate graph, sometimes you can use icons like this to be able to call attention to certain items, so it's much easier to look at the data. So from where we first started, I think it is a little bit easier to quickly see which people have a lot of certifications. It's also easier to see which people are making less money versus more money. You can quickly see how many people have a lot of experience versus a little bit of experience. And overall, I think it's a lot easier to see the data as far as how this stuff is laid out. I hope you found this video to be useful, and thank you for watching.